I had a person tell me today, and I get this quite often. He says that he wished he would have stayed in school a little bit longer to finish up his goal of becoming either a doctor or a nurse. But the thing with him is he had a kid when he was only 17 years old, so he said he could have went in either one or two directions. The first was to become a deadbeat dad and just pursue whatever interest he had, or the other one was to get a job immediately and just try to provide for his children. He chose that route. He ended up having three kids. His oldest kid is in college now, and he said he just works pretty hard to try to support him and pay part of his tuition. Um, but he's also taking night classes to become a nurse. He's probably in his early 40s or so, and occasionally when I'm walking around town, I see people who are like, when I tell them what I'm doing, they always say, "Oh, I wish I would have stayed in school or continued." Um, just uh, to graduate and become, whether that's whatever type of professional degree it is. So it makes me just realize how fortunate I am, and a lot of us are, just have the opportunity to even just pursue this path of becoming a doctor. You know, it's something that a lot of people look up to. It's something that is definitely difficult, but something that is very rewarding. And now that I'm nearing towards the end, there's a few things that I look back on and kind of wish that I would have did a little bit differently, especially in first semester. I thought that I could just get by what I did in undergrad, just making a lot of flashcards and just going through them, just trying to memorize as much information as I can. After the first exam, it turned out that I got like a 60% or something, and it was the worst feeling in the world. I came out of the test, there was a circle of friends, and they were all talking about how well they did an exam. I got in a circle, and I just had nothing to say. You know, I went back to my apartment and was just like devastated because I had put in a lot of work. Um, I chose not to go out after the white coat ceremony. None of the weekends. I just decided I would study and do really well on the exam. When I did poorly, I didn't know, um, what was going on. It wasn't until a couple semesters later that I kind of tweaked my study habits a little bit. During that first semester, I also went to the dean and the assistant dean and asked him, um, I was putting in a lot of hours studying. You know, I got a bad grade, and he just said straight up, he's like, "You're a loner, right?" And that caught me off guard because that was just his opening statement, um, which was true. I mean, I am pretty reclusive. I'm introverted, and I definitely like to study by myself. But no one wants to admit that they're a loner. And so I was like, yeah, sure. And so he told me that I should probably get with the group. Um, so I didn't until the next semester because they made you, if you remediate a semester, they have a group that they put you in with other students. And that did help me a lot. It's something just to have people keep you accountable. And in addition to that, in medical school, just like I imagine it would be different, but just like any other social circles, whether that's high school or college, there's like cliques that form pretty quickly. So I never really gravitated toward a particular group of people, so I never had a clique that I would always study with before the exams, and so that kind of became artificially my clique. The people who had to repeat the semester, and it did help a lot more than I thought. Um, so I would definitely say that if you're doing perfectly fine on yourself, just by yourself, just keep doing it. But for the other people, um, the group helps in a myriad of ways, whether that's accountability, whether that's you having the ability to teach others, going over concepts, or reinforcing concepts that you don't understand too well. Another thing that really helped me, which I figured out towards the third or fourth semester, is that You just have to constantly quiz yourself. For me, that was on my iPad. Usually in lectures, there will be charts or tables for the information that's a little bit more important. So I would try to draw these out on my iPad, which I use as a whiteboard. But if you have a whiteboard, it works the same way. And just draw this chart or table from memory, and just try to make sure that I did memorize this very important stuff, because it's in the table or a chart, then it's usually more important. But in addition to that, I also try to figure out the big concept first and just trickle down from that. And that's a lot of things what you'll be doing in clinical medicine. In clinical medicine, I found that it's a lot more relatable because you get to tailor all of the pathophysiology to a patient. Like you start from the patient and then you go from the large organ systems down, rather than just trying to memorize like an isolated physiological or like a chemical reaction without any way to tie that into a patient. So that's what helps in clinical medicine. In clinical medicine, I think it would have some of the feedback I got was that I was a little bit too passive, um, and I think part of that stems from my personality being quiet. But definitely that was one. It can kind of put off the give the aura that you're not interested if you're not asking all these questions. And I was never really that type of person, but um, it is what it is. Um, So, but that isn't important to try to ask as many questions as you can. Like a lot of times, you're just like, I don't want to seem stupid in front of this attending or resident, but that's you learn. That's what reinforces your understanding the most, no matter how stupid or whatever it may seem, because the worst thing you can do is make a mistake in a patient, which is something that you definitely don't want to do. So it's better to have those questions now and get those corrected, and then down the line to harm a patient. Um, in addition to that, I would say just try to get your hand on as many procedures as you can. Like this is a time to make mistakes, whether that's doing IV lines, if you have a chance maybe to do lumbar punctures or place chest tubes or whatever the case may be. You have a resident, you have an attending who's backing you up. So this is a chance to just, especially if you want to go into something like emergency medicine or surgery or something that's a little bit more hands-on, just try to get as many procedures in as you can. And in addition to that, is just like everyone else is, just try to take care of yourself. For me, it was exercise in the morning. Um, no matter what rotation I had, I tried to at least a few times a week, go to the gym, just get some exercise in. Because although you wake up early, I feel like it gives you more energy throughout the day. And for me, just having that routine of getting up, like I go to the gym, it helps me to wake up, because I'm not, the first thing in my morning isn't, oh man, I gotta rush and take care of these things before the attending gets here. So, okay, I get to take this time to go to the gym, and after that, I go to the hospital and take care of whatever work I have to take care of. And I also wish I probably would have cultivated a little bit more relationships with the residents and the other students. A lot of times for me, it was just, man, I gotta go home and start studying and stuff. But it definitely helps just to build that sense of camaraderie with the fellow students, and also establish those relationships with the residents and attendings, who will be one writing a letter of recommendation, but also just to learn from them, and just it's good to be able to talk to things with people who are going through the same struggle. But other than that, just try not to get too stressed out about anything. Like ultimately, you're not directly responsible for the patient care. You're just there to soak up as much as you can, get as many experiences as you can, and in the end, everything just turns out how it should be.